Hi and welcome to Aquatic Mike. Today I'm bringing you a video of Brochis bethanae fry development. Up here first we've got the fry at 7 days old. They're currently on sand in this footage, however in later footage they might be on bare bottom. The bare bottom footage is from when I first bred them. Probably world first in 2020, the 9th of April. The fry back then I didn't measure the following spawns that I've had, but back then the fry at 7 days measured 6 millimeters total length at the age of 7 days. They're currently in here with a group of ramshorn snails acting as a cleanup crew. I was pretty happy when I first bred these, as it's most likely one of the only or the only world first that I might achieve, possibly. But here the fry are at 1 month, and this is footage from the first time when I bred them. I continued feeding them microworms for quite some time. You can see that there's in here now as well. They were fed that at the start of their life as well. I also raised some batches. This is currently a like 10-12 liter tank, and I raised some in a 54 liter tank as well. The 54 liter tank I had fewer fry surviving from, but the ones that did, I outgrew these ones by quite a lot. But yeah, there's still some ramshorn snails acting as a cleanup crew, and there's a couple of fry that aren't bethanae, but the majority of the fry in here are bethanae, the ones with a black arc along the back, or what may turn out to be a black arc along the back. So at 1 month they measured 8 millimeter total length or 6 millimeter standard length for the fish raised in the 12 liter tank, and the ones that had an abundance of food in the 54 liter tank measured 2.6 centimeter total length and 2 centimeter standard length. Here's when I'm taking a photograph, or when I made a spawning log back then at the age of 1 month. These are the smaller fry, obviously, or like the ones from the 12 liter tank. These fish originate from Peru, from the river Rio Blanco. They're lineage 8 fish. They're in subclade 4. They got their name from Stephen Grant, the editor of, or back then at least, he was the editor of Catfish Study Group. His daughter is called Bethany Grant, and these were named after her when they were described. I have a mentioning in their description as well, back when they were described. I think I also provided a breeding log back then, as I may or probably was first in the world to breed these fish. And they're still swimming around in this 12 liter tank. I didn't take any footage of the 54 liter tank, I'm afraid. There's a couple of other species that are similar to these fish. For instance, what we used to call Corydoras CW006 or Arcuatus. Now more they're called Brochis arcuata, and previously a fish that we now call Hoplysoma grantii, which is named after Stephen Grant. They were thought to be Arcuatus back then, but they were redescribed as Grantii or Granti, and CW006 turned out to be the true, well, nowadays Brochis arcuata, or back then Corydoras arcuatus. And there's a couple of other species that are similar with some C or CW number in different lineages. And there's also like narcissus, which is still a Corydoras narcissus, which is a lineage 1 fish. And Grantii was named C20 previously. And there's also CW120, which were thought to be narcissus previously, lineage 1 or Corydoras. That turned out to get a known code, at least for now. CW006, or their current fish called Brochis arcuata, is also a lineage 8 fish, narcissus, and CW120 is a lineage 1 fish, so you can tell them apart by that. And Grantii or Grantii is a Hoplysoma, so like their snout is more bent than the others, I guess you could say. But having them, well, like near one another, it shouldn't be a problem distinguishing them from one another. And I guess that's how you can differentiate the majority of them, and between arcuata and bethanae, for instance, the black arc that goes along the back of the fish goes through the eye on bethanae. Meanwhile, in arcuata it follows the back and goes out through the eye and towards the snout more. If you look on pictures of the two of them, it should be easy to tell them apart. This is more recent footage from when they were 1 month. I've bred them a couple of times. I'm not sure, maybe just under 10 times now, somewhere around there. And they're currently eating Repashy. And thing you can see that I've written on the tank there says musk, which was for when they were young, that I wanted them fed with worms, which is musk in Swedish, in case I wasn't the one feeding them, in case I had help getting them fed. But yeah, what else can be said regarding this species? I guess they're not especially easy to breed. I've heard rumors that a couple of others have bred them. I haven't seen fry footage or anything from others or so, but if I'm not misinformed, they might be bred by others by now, I think, as well. I've sat on this footage for quite some time, although I provided some footage or like still pictures for Stephen Grant when he put together the article in Catfish Study Group, and also the breeding report. We'll soon see footage of them being I think 40 days old. They'll have slightly more of the arc visible, and their tummy getting a bit larger. Oh yeah, this is footage from the 1 month old fry that I had in the 54 liter tank. So they grew, or he grew, or like a few of them. They weren't many, I can't remember. I put in quite a few in there, but a lot of them didn't make it. But they grew a lot quicker. He had unlimited access to food, more or less. Currently they're 40 days old. As you can see, the arc along the back has developed quite a bit more. And this is footage from one of the more recent spawns. I think this footage is from 2022 or something. That's probably the last time I filmed them, as I knew I had enough footage by now, so I didn't have to take more. And back when I bought them, they were called Corydoras CW006, but on the list that I ordered them from or whatever, they were called Narcissus VAR 2 or Variant 2. Back then I thought I was buying Narcissus, like the regular, or not especially regular, but like the actual species Narcissus. However, they turned out to be CW6, and they were later described as Corydoras bethanae, and now more Brochis bethanae then. But yeah, as you can see, there's a couple of tanks with them. They put down quite a lot of eggs when they spawn, quite large eggs as well, although they're not as easy to breed as some of the others. But these have the current fry that I'm showing right now. There's not as many in there, and as you can see, they're slightly more developed than the others on the other side of the rack, or what you would call it. The ones in this tank's a bit younger, I think 1 month younger, or give or take. Maybe not 1 month, but a few weeks younger at least. They spawned a couple of times throughout 2022. The current footage is taken in June 2022, and the oldest footage is from, slightly after the 9th of April 2020. So now the fry are 50 days old, and they're starting to get larger and starting to resemble their parents. I would say that from around about a month, depending on how crowded they've gone and how good access to food they've had, you can tell them apart from, or can tell what they're going to become very easily. The same couple of tanks here I'm filming, and then the last one that it was still bare bottom in 2022 was still younger. These were born the 14th May 2022, the ones that I filmed just now recently. I don't remember the date of these ones, but I wrote it on the tank there as well. And there's also some other fry in there, but there's some bethanae in there. You make do with the space you've got, so to say. And at 2 months, the one that I had unlimited access to food were 2.4 centimeter standard length, or 3.5 centimeter total length. And the ones that were in these 10-12 liter tanks or whatever, they were measuring 1.6 centimeter standard length and 2.2 centimeter total length. There was some other fry right up above here now. And now we're approaching the 2-month mark. Here they're in with some other fry as well. I think a couple of nowadays Hopisoma irisii or evaxi, and some Duplicarius and CW9s, green laser. But they're in here with a cleanup crew still. Ramson snails. Here are some larger siblings. They're in here with some other fry, Gastrodermus napoensis, as they're now called, or previously Corydoras napoensis, and there's also some L number plecos in here. There might have been some guppies, I don't remember whether if I'd taken them out at this time. And there's also some CW9s. You can see one towards the left in the screen now. They're munching on some tablet that I put in to make them a bit more active and appear. They're a bit skittish otherwise. I guess that was all that I had for this species, and I thank you for watching. Please take care and leave a like, subscribe, share and comment. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye.